Bonjour. You're watching Fine Arts with Nathaniel Purdy, the Graffiti edition.
Today we'll be looking at some street art and around Edinburgh, around my neck of the woods, which is basically Cowgate. And then we'll be walking up through Nicholson Street, sort of the heart of Edinburgh city, looking at some of the prominent graffiti artists. And along this journey, I'll be talking about sort of the do's and don'ts of graffiti, even though it's all illegal. And then talking about sort of some of the theories that you can apply to graffiti, thinking about whether it's maybe good or bad. So one of those theories that I like to work from is Dave Hickey's quote that is roughly something like, is the piece of art more worthy than the white wall that it hangs on? And he's talking about paintings in a gallery environment, but you can certainly apply that same mentality to the city and the streets and the material that the graffiti artists are working upon. So I'm going to be showing you some of my favorite artists, graffiti artists around Edinburgh, with an idea of kind of giving you a greater perhaps appreciation for graffiti art in general, and also as a way to graffiti is everywhere if you live in a city. So it's a way of noticing, these different aspects of the city and seeing this graffiti in a new light, perhaps, noticing it, appreciating it as part of the city landscape. So let's start here with this Area 51. This is a pretty common tag around here in Edinburgh, and you'll see this with the A and the R and the Saturn, maybe 51, the A and the R, and then I need some trash cans. Love trash. I love eating trash, things like that. Anyway, so the thing about Dave Hickey again. This is a good example of that idea I just brought up. Here is one of my favorite graffiti artists, Alki. He pops up everywhere. It's usually in a smaller white, kind of handwritten, more of a tag that we'll see later in the video. But he has chosen to spray on this kind of raw concrete area. And applying Dave Hickey's mentality, his ideas to this, this is a very boring, kind of gross concrete block. And he's enlivened it. He's made it kind of exciting. So I think that's it's better. He's improved the area. So now we're going to be continuing on through Edinburgh, up through Nicholson, and we'll see some cool doors that have been graffitied on that I think of as sort of a tear in the city. It's like they've ripped a hole in the kind of boring concrete walls. Things you don't graffiti on are, cars. You don't graffiti on cars. That's not cool. Here we are again with an Alki piece. She looks quite new. So this one actually says Alki Yes with a star. You'll see the star and this little swirl quite often. And this is kind of in between one of his tag pieces and one of his, more elaborate pieces, which would have a, so basically the way a lot of the pieces are here is, you could just write this with one graffiti can, with one spray can. You could just tag this. But the one we saw before, which is multicolored, the way it would be is, you'd use your colored paint, which is this purple, for the interior, and then you would use your black to do the outlines. and then you have this kind of solidified concrete piece, so the black outline makes the interior stand out. So moving on, 2 alky pieces down. Quite a fan of alky, as I've said already. I like alky. And you can see, there's Ezra here. There's tons of street artists. So that's another part of this, is that you can find street artists that you just like you like a certain kind of tree. Maybe if you're walking in the forest, you're walking through an art gallery, you see a painting you like. You don't necessarily need to know why you like it. You just like it. Bun Tory Scum, and it seems like the same street art because it's the same exact color and they're kind of the same mannerisms and the way they spray, but it could be a different street artist. But they've also wrote lame here, which you'll see this tag with the little halo maybe. You'll see that around as well. Just Bun Tory Scum, and maybe I'm missing something. But then you have Burn Tories here, so maybe they realized they missed the R and just kind of tossed it back in there. Keith, Nicole plus Mikey. Might be the same person. It's all the same kind of, all the same color. So, a lot of these graffiti artists have multiple tags that they go by. And you'll see graffiti, when you go off the beaten path a lot, because that gives people more time to actually make, the works. So you have the lame here again. By that same artist, Chaos. But you can see all the kind of lush graffiti here, and this is really probably just 2 or 3 colors. 3 colors, probably the white, silver, and the black. Where I was going in before, talking 2020, this one's actually dated. Fuck Tesco, that's kind of funny. But this is a pretty big piece here. Urisk. Put in jail, whatever they do to you. Went the wrong way here. This is the floating wall here. Not really cool, the graffiti on that. That looks like Nicole there, or Nickel, I don't know. It's not really cool, but because it's an old historic wall that you've kind of just done quick graffiti on. I don't think you could argue that it's beautified it or enlivened it in any way. Here's a great Milky. So we're going to see some more Milkies hopefully, but we got a little Milky here. Yeah, a little Milky on this street lamp. And street lamps are kind of a good one to tag on. Usually they get painted over pretty fast. Here's a nice just blob of paint right there. This is a really good example we're about to see of kind of inappropriate places to do graffiti. So someone here has tagged a tree. Can't read that. Yeah, I can't read it. I think the tree will overtake it eventually. But, you know, I was looking at it earlier and I was like, oh, shit. It actually matches the leaves really well. Like the color of the graffiti really goes with the color of the leaves. So I was kind of like, oh, damn it. It actually looks pretty nice, but not, not actually a cool thing to do, graffiti on trees. Trees are beautiful. There's no reason they don't need beautiful. But it's a way of expressing yourself in a public domain where there's, you know, really no other way to oftentimes. So, yeah. I'll walk around here. Walk around the police car. This is a new graffiti artist here that I like a lot. No actual name that goes with it, purely figurative, but I dig it a lot. It's this kind of like pumpkin with spikes coming out of it. He's a really cool guy. I really like him. And that's all graffiti, you know, that's all the spray paint. But it's nice. But here's a really stupid one. It's my least favorite graffiti I've seen, probably in Edinburgh. Rent is theft. Super anarchistic. It's an actual anarchistic kind of philosophy, but it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It just seems very trite and very like kind of making almost everyone's paying rent, so it's kind of just like making you feel bad about yourself. It's like, okay, you might be right. Like, where do I get my gun? You know, is this an uprising we're trying to start here? I don't know. It just seems like not the right venue to express that notion. Plus, it's not visually interesting, really. It's just a word. Then we have another beautiful Milky. But then these are really cool. These doors. So it's like, I think like the graffiti artists in general are like pretty respectful of like the beauty of the stone walls that surround them. So what's cool about this is that you can see that like there's a little bit of graffiti around it, but mostly they've just, you know, tagged this door hard. You've seen Omal, and I don't know what these other ones are. Squeeze again. But it's like, you know, just a compilation of a bunch of different, you know, artists who've just come together separately and made this door just kind of pop and just made it really cool and pretty. It would just normally be just a normal black door, so I just think it's cool. And this is cool too because you get two of my favorites here, Milky and Alky right on top, and this is like Alky Polo. If you can get that. But you know, you probably do. Like this Alky up here is another tool you can use. There's kind of these lesser known graffiti tools. One of them being this this sucker, this Molotov. It's a solvent-based, kind of oil-based, very flammable material that actually has a roller ball at the top, like a roller ball pen. But it's a huge ball. So you can see on the ball, it's this huge ball, and you can really just go at it. And I'm guessing that Alky used one of these, maybe a bit smaller, to make that because it's a bit jerky and it's pretty thick. So you can get pretty thick lines with this Molto thing here. Ooh, did not notice this before. Area 51, like we saw at the very beginning. Just doing a quick tag. We just saw a police car drive by, and this is getting into a main drag, so it kind of, it makes sense. But they want to do it quickly. You can see a nice alky down here with the yuck. That might have been alky as well. Kind of looks like his stuff. And then on top of here, there's some nice ones. And I think that these are really got a Utes on this side as well. Yeah, the Utes. You can see right here. Backwards S. Yeah, I think it's kind of like these are really good places to paint on because they don't actually disrupt the functioning of whatever's happening in here. And it's just like this kind of boring box that just looks like it's meant to be painted on, sort of. Another alky on the front of it. And then there's some cool doors down here. I don't even know what this is. It's the back of a restaurant. But it's like kind of these doors you never see used before. But, you know, we've got this figurative toucan. And we got Area 51's here, Squeeze is here, Smiles here. We see that a lot. Another Area 51, Milky right there. Yeah, these are some of my favorite doors. A nice alky there. And this cat. I did not do that cat, for the record. That was not me. This is a fun alky FCB DGL. Yeah, just cool. I like these doors with the stone wall next to them, really pretty. Flower here. Yeah. So now we're gonna go up kind of the main, we're on Nicholson Street now, so it's kind of the main drag of Edinburgh city center. No, it's my last one, so no. One more.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you are. You're welcome. Cheers. So, got another alky here. Big alky, but you know, done very quickly, obviously, because we're on this main drag area near the theater and all that. But yeah, that's quite nice there. But not actually on, you know, in front of the building. It's a little bit, well, not, a little shoddy there. I'm not sure if it's cool on the actual front of the building, but yeah. Daisy you see a lot. Daisy's kind of transgressive maybe when it comes to where they tag. Another small alky, Milky up top here. Get the Milky up top high here. And the face. That face you'll see a lot. Yeah. And a big Alky here along these sliding doors. The sliding doors I think are really cool to actually graffiti on because, you know, they're only there at night. The big daisy. Probably one of my favorite daisies, actually. Just because the lettering is so strange and kind of crooked and kind of cruel almost. And the face at the end of it. Yeah, I like daisy. This is a nice daisy. A lot of the daisies are kind of boring, in my opinion. We got a nice. So it says no bill posters here, but you know, there's no bills, but there's a ton of. There's a Milky, you know, there's a double Milky. Rascal Youths, Squeeze, another Alky right there. Yeah, so these are really hot spots because they're just black, so they're just kind of like almost like an open blank canvas for people to work on. And in terms of like graffitiing on these types of things, like graffitiing on ads, I think it's cool because ads are just black in general, but at the same time, they're fine. People need ads, I guess. I don't know. And also they take them down extremely fast. So like if you tag an ad, it'll be taken down immediately pretty much. Here's this door, it's crazy. We got all the Alky, Smile, Milky. Alky actually dates some of his pieces, so you'll see this Alky 17. You know, like a lot of, you know, artists will, you know, fine artists and galleries will tag, we'll write the date of their pieces, and he's actually written 17 here. We'll see one later that is a Alky 19. So he's been active for a couple of years, clearly. And then a Milky. And a big green Alky. And then a smaller Alky up top. And then we have a fantastic Alky piece here. Check that out in the red on the white. That's really nice. Starting to come off, but I really like this Alky piece. Really, it's a really pretty Alky. Yeah. Next, below this huge behemoth piece, which I don't know what that is in the silver gray, but really nice. And boom, another Milky. I mean, I like the consistency of Milky. That's just why I think I like Milky and Alky. And for some reason, aesthetically, Omal does the same thing, but I don't like Omal as much. I just feel like there's a lot more heart in Milky and then Alky. Here's a rare, whoa, I haven't even seen this one before, a golden Alky with an exclamation point at the end. Yeah, that's a strange one. I've never seen a golden Alky before. Yeah, that's a fun one. It's kind of like, you know, maybe if all these Milky, Alky, if all these people had, you know, grants, if they all wanted to get grants somehow, if they had like a kind of this kind of license to kill where they could go and tag wherever they wanted and do stuff and make people make, you know, larger, crazier pieces, but not everyone can be part of that system, you know, so they need to tag in places that are, you know, not against the city, but that are different from it, you know, alternate to it. But this is a good quote from David Hume. Beauty in things exists in the mind which contemplates them. So yeah, I think that ties in well nearing the end of the talk here, just because you might not think street art is beautiful until you start actually looking at it, actually like engaging with it and seeing it as part of the city, and seeing it as part of the place you live. It might take a little while to actually kind of engage with it in that way. But here's a cool kind of Milky. I like how he's done this here. They've done this here. And they've done Milky both sides of this parking meter, or just one side. Here's a funny little scenario we have here. You see it's pretty common in kind of street art circles, but you don't see it around Edinburgh that too much. But it's a daisy tagged here maybe a while ago, but then very recently somebody went over it. I don't know what that says. Zambia maybe, with a heart and a balloon on this JCM Group's building. Not really an appropriate place to be tagging in the first place, I don't think, really. And then they've done it again on the front here. And this person erased it again, which is like fair play because, you know, daisy tagging here in the first place was kind of a bit inappropriate because this is just like a privately owned company and they need to, you know, they'll need to pay to get that cleaned off, and that's not really cool. Like, it's right in the front of their business. So now we're kind of going back to the beginning. We have another Omal here. Omal, almost looks like a U. I don't know if it's Omal. There's Mate. A friend of mine told me to look out for Mate. You see that? It's pretty nice. I like those purples. And then a block alky with 19. So this is probably a newer alky than the one that we've seen, that we saw to begin with. That green one that we saw at the very beginning of the video. I like this blocked alky with the little frowny face. And when he does bigger ones like this, when they do bigger ones like this, you can see more of the kind of like the stroke of the spray itself, which is not. So we've reached our end of our little talk here. Again, this has been a special episode of Fine Arts from Nathaniel Purdy. Tried to just show you some of the graffiti around my local spots where I've been walking. So maybe, who knows, you'll see, definitely, maybe you'll keep an eye out in the future for some special art, for just graffiti artists in general, and, you know, trying to find the ones that, you know, you like maybe. And, you know, keeping an eye out for them and seeing if they're putting up new pieces or if they stopped making and they moved out of the city, or who knows. But hopefully you gained a little bit of a greater appreciation for street art in general, for graffiti, how it's part of, that's a living part of the city. It's kind of the disruption of the normal cityscape. And yeah, so cheers and au revoir, mes amis.